Get ready for the Terry Podcast, where real conversations meet in the middle. Now, here's your host, Terry. Thank you for tuning in to the Terry Podcast. I'm your host, Terry. So nice I had to say it twice. Look, guys, in the black community right now, we have a big discussion about politics. So the reason I wanted to do this show, this is actually the first show. The reason why I felt the need to do this show, we have such a division within the black community. I don't want to talk to celebrities. I want to talk to everyday people, everyday working people who are in the community. So I said, you know what? Everybody's got a podcast. It's good. But for me, I wanted to speak to everyday people. So in my conversations with everyday people, what I'm finding out is the average voter, black voter, is not educated. They're trained. I want you to understand that. They're not educated to policies. They're trained just to vote. Therefore, and again, I don't have a political party. What I go by is policy. If your policies don't align with mine, for my community, not for my pockets, for my community. No, a president can make policies. Now you vote on the local level, same thing. So if you're a black Democrat, if you're a black Republican, make it make sense because our communities are systematically targeted. We've been fighting, I don't know if many of you guys, we've been fighting for an anti-hate bill. You got so many police killing us, and we have to turn over the tables to get anything done. It makes no sense. No other race of people have to deal with what we deal with when we walk in a room or when the police, it's almost like you're afraid to call the police to your house. We had an incident here in the city of Memphis, Tyre Nichols, which it blew all of us, it just blew our mind because we've never seen that our officers react that way. We're used to seeing white officers do that. And as you can see, those guys got handled so quickly. Normally when there's a killing, the no-knock policies to people that they've killed, nothing gets done. We have to fight for every inch to get these cops convicted. So we're going back to policies. Now, I've been seeing a sign that says you have one black job, and that is to vote Democrat. That's your one black job. Now, when Donald Trump said it, I clearly understood what he said. There are immigrants who are coming here, and they're getting jobs that pay so low, the average black person is not going to take that job. So I'm not going to sit here and try to overpad that to make it a conversation. We fight over here. We fight for better wages. That's why a lot of immigrants come over here because of the freedoms that have been fought for by foundational black Americans. Okay? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's why you see so many immigrants coming here because of immigration laws fought for in the 60s and just how we get down. We're not going to go in there and work for pennies because we've gone through slavery. So you're going to pay us an honest pay. We fight for that over here to where the immigrant comes in here and he's making a little bit of money. He sees that as the world, but he does not understand you're coming in the middle of interrupting us fighting for rights. So they don't identify with our plight here. They have no clue. So I'm asking, again, this is about policy. I have nothing against legal immigration. Illegal immigration, I have a problem with as a taxpayer. I'm not in Chicago. And it is said that they're at a $400 million deficit from taking care of immigrants. That money should have gone. If you got $400 million, invest that into the community. All the crime that you always do, every time there's, Chicago got so much crime. Okay, why don't you reinvest into the community to help stop that? Jobs, trade skills. Why don't you reinvest into the community? But you will take that and give it to an immigrant. You would take that 400 million and give it to an immigrant. Now, here's the problem I really, really have. Again, I have nothing against either candidate. To me, both have horrible records. Both. Both have horrible records. I'm not going to sit there and go back. Trump is Trump. Kamala is Kamala. I'm looking at the Democratic Party to say to all my black people who talk to me every day, you want me to vote, but when I ask you about policy, nobody has a policy. I'm just supposed to vote. You know, the Roland Martins, just shut up and be quiet and just vote. This is no time for you to get logical, to be a thinker. Well, a voter needs to think. That would be my perception as a voter. I want you to think. Because when you vote on things and then the policies help everybody but you, at what point do you say, wow, I'm not getting anything? And this has been, I'm talking to our Democrats because that's the community I'm in. I voted Democrat. I voted for Obama twice. And I saw, this not for me. He's not going to do anything for my community. He's not. It is what it is. I don't care if you agree or disagree. I'm speaking facts. So, that's another thing. Black folks vote out of their emotions, not out of what's right for them or their community. They vote strictly based upon their emotions. And when you say something to them in a logical way, they don't want to hear it. I've gone to several people who are in organizations. Hey, we need to create programs. I'm a media guy. I'm in entertainment. I can help. I also drive trucks. So there are things I could do to help the average young kid to say, hey, what are your interests? Keep in mind, college is not for everybody. The kids that want to go to college, make sure that they have a specific trade. If you're just going to get a business degree, everybody's got that. Administrative degree, everybody's got one of those. Everybody's got that. So I'm saying again to the black voter, when are we going to hold, whether you're Republican or you're Democrat, when are you going to hold your party accountable for policies to help the black community? Tangibles. Now, if you sit there and say, well, they got to do something for everybody. No. Specifically, they don't do anything for us, because when we say, hey, we need an anti-hate bill because these police are killing us, shooting us down in the streets. We can go all the way back to Mike Brown. We can go. The young man, I forgot his name. In Dallas, where the police officer walked in, he was in his apartment. She said she had the wrong apartment, killed him. These people are okay with killing us because there's no real punishment. If these officers knew you would lose your pension, you would be sued civilly, civil, there would be a civil suit, and you're going to be charged. That gun would stay on their hip unless they were really in danger. But the system allows them to kill us on no-knock warrants. Oh, they made a mistake. So while the Democrats say we can't do it, or either party says we cannot do it, that's a problem, because there's an anti-hate bill for Asians. There's an anti-Semitic bill, which you walk Kyrie back on, when all he said was the truth. He shared something. You guys came up with an anti-Semitic bill. There's bills for LGBTQ in immigration. There are DACA programs. But the minute a black person asks for something for the black community, not for everybody else, well, we got to have a meeting. HR 40 it's been out for years and years and years. It's just it's a waste of time, because we allow that. So again, I'm going to say this to all these groups, and I know people in fraternities and sororities. Where have you guys been with all this stuff going on in the black community? Where have you been? Because now all of a sudden, y'all pop up and raise all kind of money. Where are the 44,000 Zoom meetings that say we need to fix the inner city? We need to help out these young people. We got children here in the city of Memphis, ages young as 12 years old, 12 years old committing crimes. I'm not hearing from anybody in these organizations. And when I speak to people in those organizations, well, big bro, I got to go through. It's a bunch of hominin human. So you tell me, when will black people hold the Democratic Party responsible to have policies to help their communities? And I want to remind you, Dr. King died not for his I Have a Dream speech. He said, we want that check. I'm coming for what's owed. See, many of you forget that. You stuck on the I have a, no. Dr. King said, we'll come to Poor Man's Campaign right here in Memphis, Tennessee. He was killed because he said, I feared, and I'm paraphrasing, but you can go look it up, that I've led my people into a burning building. He was fighting not for a vote, for tangibles. Because keep in mind, land was taken from black folks. The Freedmen's Bank taken, and now the Freedmen's Banks, you go to was it the whitehouse.gov, the Freedmen's Bank has been reopened by Kamala Harris. The Freedmen's Bank, money that the government stole from black people, it's been reopened to include immigrants or non-black people. That money was stolen from black people. This is their policies. Hey, if I do something for black people, it's got to benefit everybody. And then 3 seconds later, wait a minute, who needs something? The immigrants? Oh, let me write that bill. Let me get that bill written down. But when we ask for something, look, a rising tide lifts all boats. Okay, I'm not near the beach. I'm nowhere near the beach. Matter of fact, I don't even have a boat. So tell me how that benefits me. None of them in the Democratic Party. We already know the Republicans not on our side. So that's a waste of time to talk about that. But when you speak to somebody Democratic, notice they will never have a conversation about what is needed to help the black community. It will boil down to, hey, look, I know you've had 400 years of slavery, 250 over here, and redlining and Jim Crowing, but we're going to do something for you, like the farmers. Hey, we're going to give you $2 billion, and we're going to also give the Hispanic farmers who were affected in it too. Though they weren't, it affected black. Let me say it again. It affected black folks. Okay, the Homestead Act. They were giving white folks land. I'm in Memphis. We're going to go by just Mississippi alone. They were killing black people, taking their land. So when I talk to the black voter is the most uneducated voter. They're just trained because they forget history. If I told you, you ain't this, you ain't that, if you don't do something for me, you're going to remember that with me. But when a politician says it to you, you act like you forget it. So when these politicians tell you, hey, I ain't doing nothing for black folks unless, let me just come out with it. Unless I can do it for everybody. Well, everybody's not affected. If my house is on fire, why would the fire department come down here and put out fire? You're just going to 5 other houses that are not on fire. You're just checking them out. My house is on fire. Come check out my house. Let's stop the fire or a possible explosion. So I'm saying, I'm going to ask again to the Democrats, the black Democrats. You tell me, since so many of you are on the phone with me saying you need to vote, that's your one black job. No, my one black job is to make a decision that helps my community. But you guys did trigger something. You triggered me to start my own podcast to where I could have a conversation. So the ones of you who want to talk to me, we're going to bring you on, and I want you to give me policy. Because the only way we're going to change this, it's going to have to be a real conversation. We're not going to go based upon what you feel. I'm going to only state facts. If I misquote something, hey, you have every right to correct me. But when I'm asking for something for my community, I'm getting older. I'm thinking about the next generation. Because during the civil rights, those people thought about me. So the freedoms I have today, people died for. They didn't die for just you to get a vote. They were building. Hey, you can't do that. That's not fair to us. That's what they fought for: fairness, equality, tangible things. Why do I have to live in the ghettos and you live in the suburbs? Why do I go to war and I come home from war and I can't get a GI Bill? But everybody else is getting it. We've been systematically locked out. We have been systematically locked out of economics in this country. So when you see a couple of millionaires, you see a Jay-Z, you see a Rick Ross, or you see an athlete, their money doesn't come back to our community. Oprah. The Jewish community, those people fund their community. We don't do that. I'm a media company. I'm not going to call any names. These athletes will get on there and brag about flying jets, wasting $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. If I go to them and I've reached out to a couple inbox, hey, I'm a small businessman, I really want to get my media company going. Man, they're not interested in doing that. They'd rather blow it, because that's the whole thing. When you speak about empowering your community or helping your community, they don't want to hear that conversation. So when I hear athletes brag about how many businesses they got, how does that benefit your community? Because everybody else in their community, that community, they work together to build. When Asians come over here, other Asians help them. Europeans come over here, other Europeans help them. Hispanics, others help them. Case in point, right there in LA, those Democratic Hispanics were taking money from the black community, funds that should have gone there, and moved them. They put all their people in place, and nobody's talking about that. So I say to the black voter, now is the time to educate yourself. When will you hold the Democratic Party accountable for policies that help the black community, foundational black Americans, not immigrants? You didn't immigrate over here. So why is it that you're put on hold versus that person can come over here and get DACA programs? Can it get LGBTQ rights? The civil rights bill is flooded with everything but what it was intended. That was for us. And when they start getting into that trick bag language, okay, yeah, we're going to give you rights. As soon as we signed the civil rights bill, it took no time. Hey, look. Let's come back in the room for a second. I like you guys. I need to add minorities. Minority. What is a minority? Because we get along with everybody. What's a minority? Well, white women or immigrants. Oh, okay, cool. Add up to it. Next thing you know, hey guys, before you get down the stairs, I know you're almost out the building. Look, on that civil rights bill, there are gay people. They have a group called LGBTQ. We got to put them, because everybody deserves civil rights. And then we sitting there like, oh, wait a minute now. This bill was intended for what we went through. Well, yeah, they go through things being gay or being, misgendered or whatever the situation is. We said, okay, cool. Now what do we have? Now what do we have? We don't have anything. Nobody even talks about the civil rights bill that was passed because it does not benefit us. It does not benefit us at all. So again, I'm saying to the black voter, educate yourself on policy, because this time around, here's what's at stake. I'm not getting into the 2025 mess because we're living it right now. Cops have protection now until the grassroots start fighting. Where you have the Tariq Nasheeds, the Vicky Dillards, the Dr. Claude Andersons, Professor Black Truth. You got so many others. That's when things happen. When foundational black Americans get together, we become a movement. When these immigrants come over here, they don't understand it because they don't fight for anything. So they come over here and work against us. So I'm saying to the black voter, how does immigration help your community? You tell me that. Are you waiting for the crime to hit your door to where an officer kills your loved one? Now you want everybody to help. So I'm asking the black voter again, when are you going to hold the Democratic Party to make it about policy? I want tangible policies for foundational black Americans, not immigrants, not Asians, not anybody else, because you can go look up the laws that they signed when they got in office. When he got in office, they signed an anti-Asian bill. Hate, it was an anti-hate. It was an anti-Semitic. It was an LGBTQ. There was another immigration bill. Jim Clyburn galvanized South Carolina to get Joe Biden in office. And when he was asked, what did he want? He said, "Oh, I don't want me. Oh, I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing." Did he ever go to the people of South Carolina and say, what do we need then? What do y'all want? That's what they do. They get your vote. They take your vote for granted because you give it away so easily. If you want to come and say, hey, I need everybody to come in and get behind this candidate. We don't vote as a block. But when we vote as a block, we get nothing for it because we don't ask for anything. That's the perfect example. So to all of these naysayers, there are going to be some people, if you got a problem with what I'm saying, hey, I'll bring you on the show and you can show me where you have a point of policy. I'm speaking policy. I'm not going to get into if she's black. I'm not going to get into if Donald Trump is racist. We know their history. So what are we talking about? I got to deal with policies because that becomes a distraction. So to the black voter, I'm asking you to tell me what's the policies of that party or whoever you're voting for. I don't want any fear talk. You tell me that, and I'm on the team. So when are you going to hold the black Democratic Party, the black voter, when are you going to hold them responsible for giving tangibles to your community? Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Terry, and thank you for listening to the first one, the Terry Podcast. Coming soon. I just had to talk about this because there's been so much misinformation. There's been so much of emotions going on. I wanted to stop in and give my 2 cents and see what you thought. And we'll be doing this every week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out.